The Mothman mystery. UFOs, men in black, and the night fear took flight. December 15th, 1967, a bitter winter dusk. The Silver Bridge, an aged suspension structure linking Point Pleasant, West Virginia, to Gallipolis, Ohio, groans under the weight of rush-hour traffic. Without warning, the bridge gives way. Steel collapses. Screams erupt. Dozens of cars plummet into the black waters of the Ohio River below. 46 people lose their lives in an instant. But what if this wasn't just a tragedy of rust and rivets? What if it was foretold by a creature, a presence, an omen seen by many, believed by few, and understood by none? In the 13 months leading up to that catastrophe, the town of Point Pleasant had become a nexus of strangeness, an epicenter for sightings of a red-eyed beast, of UFOs, and of men whose smiles seemed stitched on. This is not merely folklore. This is the chilling chronicle of what happened when fear itself took flight. It began on November 12th, 1966, in the town of Clendenin, about 80 miles from Point Pleasant. The sun was retreating behind the Appalachian Hills when 5 men, gravediggers by trade, witnessed something they would struggle to describe for the rest of their lives. From above, a vast dark shape glided silently over the cemetery. 10-foot wings stretched across the fading light. The creature's eyes, if that's what they were, shimmered crimson. The first man dropped his shovel, eyes locked on the sky. "What in God's name is that?" he whispered. A second voice followed, barely audible. "Wings, but no flapping. It's just gliding." The creature passed overhead, silent, effortless, watching. A third man choked out, "Don't look at its eyes, don't look." 3 days later, the beast reappeared, this time in Point Pleasant. 2 young couples were driving through the abandoned munitions area known as the TNT site. Out of the darkness it stepped into their headlights, tall, winged, vaguely human, and utterly terrifying. As they sped away, it pursued them through the winding roads, keeping pace at over 100 miles per hour. It emitted a piercing shriek, unnatural and shrill, before vanishing into the shadows. Inside the car, Linda clutched Steve's arm, her voice cracking. "It's still behind us. I can hear it." Roger's hands were tight on the wheel. "I'm doing 90. How is it keeping up?" Mary glanced back through the rear window. "It's not flying. It's floating." Then came the screech, shrill, unnatural. Linda screamed, "Drive! Roger, please, don't stop!" They reported the encounter that same night. Law enforcement listened, and they believed them. Not because the story was convincing, but because it was just the beginning. In the days that followed, Point Pleasant changed. The quiet town became infected with whispers. Dozens came forward, farmers, teachers, teenagers, retirees, claiming to have seen the creature. Always the same description: dark wings, red eyes, silent flight. Mary Heyer, a journalist at the Athens Messenger, quickly found herself at the center of the storm. Her office phone rang constantly, her files filled with sketches, transcripts, and frantic notes. At first, she dismissed them, but repetition bred consideration. Not everyone could be hallucinating. The media dubbed it the Mothman, a name more fitting for fiction than for the raw dread in people's voices. But naming it didn't explain it, nor did it stop the fear from spreading. People began refusing to leave their homes at night. Animals vanished. Some claimed to hear wings above their roofs, or to find deep claw-like gouges in their barns. The town's normalcy had evaporated. One man encountered the creature in his own bedroom, fixating on him from the corner. He claimed to have vanquished it when he quoted scripture. As Mothman sightings rose, so too did reports of other phenomena. Strange lights began appearing in the skies above the Ohio Valley, hovering, shifting, zigzagging across the starscape. A local farmer named Jim Thompson watched one such light dance silently above his field. Hours later, he was struck with searing eye pain and would soon be diagnosed with a rare form of conjunctivitis. And then came the case of Woodrow Derenberger. On a cold November evening, while driving home along Route 77, he encountered a vehicle unlike any he'd seen before, blocking the road. From it emerged a man. His skin was smooth, his grin far too wide, and his voice never came from his mouth. Instead, he spoke directly into Derenberger's thoughts, introducing himself as Indrid Cold. Derenberger blinked as the man approached his truck. The smile was wrong. Then a voice entered his mind, clear but without sound. "My name is Indrid Cold. Do not be afraid." Derenberger opened his mouth to speak, but Cold interrupted, still without moving his lips. "We mean you no harm. We only wish to understand." The grin widened. "Why do you fear us so deeply?" Cold claimed to be from a distant planet. After that night, Derenberger's life fell apart, riddled with migraines, depression, and an unshakable sense of dread. His wife ended up divorcing him. Mary Heyer was still investigating when she received her first visitor. He was pale, almost waxy, and impeccably dressed in a dark suit. His demeanor was stiff, rehearsed. His questions were vague, yet strangely invasive. Other witnesses began receiving visits from similar men. They never gave names. They discouraged people from talking. Some threatened outright. Others simply smiled and disappeared. Mary adjusted her glasses, staring at the stranger, seated across from her desk. "You're not from any agency I've ever heard of." The man's lips curled upward, not quite a smile. "We represent interests. We suggest you stop asking questions." Mary leaned in. "I'm a journalist. That's what I do." The second man, silent until now, leaned closer, his breath icy. "Then be prepared for the consequences, Ms. Heyer. Truth can be unkind." Their presence was perhaps more unsettling than the creature itself. Were they government agents, aliens in disguise, or something else entirely, guardians of a secret too disturbing to be revealed? By late 1967, Mary had gathered over 100 independent accounts. She began dreaming of water, of drowning, of brightly wrapped Christmas gifts floating in a dark river. Locals spoke of voices calling their names from empty rooms. Lights flickered. Phones rang with no one on the line. Children wept in their sleep, muttering about red eyes. And the Mothman was seen more often than ever, perched on rooftops, flying low over trees, and on one occasion, standing motionless in the fog near the Silver Bridge. A teenager stands at the river's edge, staring up at the Silver Bridge, lit faintly in the moonlight. His friend nudges him. "Hey, did you see that? Something just flew off the top." The boy squints. "Yeah, thought it was a bird." They walk away, unaware it will be the last time they see the bridge standing. That morning, the air was frigid. Snow had dusted the hills. As commuters made their way home across the Silver Bridge, tragedy struck. An eye-bar in the bridge's suspension failed. A small fracture, undetected, unleashed catastrophic failure. The structure crumbled like paper. 46 people died. In the aftermath, something strange happened. The sighting stopped. The lights vanished. The voices went silent. Point Pleasant, once the epicenter of the unexplained, went still. The Mothman has not returned, not in Point Pleasant, but echoes of the same phenomenon have surfaced elsewhere. Sightings in Chernobyl before the meltdown, in New York before September 11th. Always the same shape, always the same eyes. Was the Mothman a prophet of doom, an interdimensional observer, or something far more calculated? What if all of it, the red eyes, the lights, the grinning men, wasn't a warning at all, but a performance? A deliberate symphony of confusion crafted not to save lives, but to shake the foundations of faith itself. In the Holy Book, the tempter destroys with doubt, with fear, with despair. Perhaps this was never about destruction. Perhaps it was about erosion, of trust, of certainty, of God's goodness. So many looked to God for answers, but their prayers seemed unanswered. The bridge still fell. The creatures still came. And the men in black just smiled. But the creature did disappear, just once, when the name of Christ was uttered. Perhaps that was the goal all along. Not to kill the body, but to unmoor the soul. What if the Mothman was never an omen? What if it was the echo of something darker, not a messenger of doom, but the author of doubt? If the shadows grow longer and the air goes still. If you feel eyes watching you, not with curiosity but contempt, look away and don't stop praying, because what's watching may just hope that you lose your faith.